Hello friends, welcome back to the Infologs YouTube channel. In today's session, we are going to see a lot of things about JSON. Okay, so before starting, I would like to tell you that on the top right corner, you will see the full playlist of ASP.NET Core tutorials. Along with that, you will also see the different other tutorials, right? Just like AngularJS or ASP.NET, or you can also visit our website, that is infologs.in, where you can find different kind of articles as well as the videos just below that article, so you can get a clear-cut idea about what this article wants to tell you, right? So yeah, without wasting time, let's talk about the JSON. Okay, so nowadays JSON is very what we can say, the fundamental things for the development. Okay, so let's talk about the client and server communication. Okay, so traditional, so whenever we want to pass data over the wire to the client, so at that time we used the XML format. Okay, but right now we are using the JSONs. Okay, so what is the JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notations. Okay, before I'm going to dig into the details about JSONs, we'll talk about the fundamental things. We talk about the JSONs. Okay, so first of all, let me open up the notepad, so I'll clear the terms which I'm going to use in this video session, right? So first of all, as I already told you, the full form of that is JavaScript Object Notation, right? So whenever we get the data, or we want to send the data to the server, or want to get the data from server and send data from client to the server, okay, so the JSON will always go into the key value pair. Okay, this is the first part, key value pair. So okay, number two that you have to keep in mind, what is object? Okay, so JSON object looks like this. Okay, the things wrapped up into the curly braces with the key value format. Okay, this is whole thing is called an object. Okay, or be specifically, so we will call it JSON object. Okay, so now we stored a key value format, then we can also store multiple key value format separated by the comma. Okay, so let's say in real life, name will be Abhishek, then company will be Infologs, then birth date will be 25/08/92/95, whatever it is. Okay, so this is called the, let's say, person. Okay, this is the person JSON object, right? So now we can store multiple person values, so multiple person details. So how we can do that? So we have a single object, we'll separate it by comma, and then I'll paste the second object. Okay, so here I'll name it some other person, let's say Ravi, and then he's working in, let's say, ABC company, and something like this, 29. Okay, so but this is not a right thing in the JSON. Okay, let's say if you want to collect multiple objects, so we have to wrap that object into the JSON array, so it will look like this. So now this is JSON array, right? So on the array there will be the 0 position for this and the first position of this object. So how do we verify that this JSON is perfectly written or written perfectly? So for that I'm personally using JSON Viewer. Okay, it's a very simple JSON Viewer online tool where you can just paste your JSON code and just view. Okay, let's say on 0 position there is the first, on the first position there will be this. Okay, here you can see there will be the JSON array. So if you missed something and then try to view this, so it will give you the JSON error. So this way we can verify that our whatever we are storing in the JSON or generating the format, that is perfectly alright. Okay, so let's say I want to make sure some more details. Let's say this is the employee details. Let me give you the department name. Department name will be the finance, then department ID will be 1, and then there will be a colon, and then info. This, let's see whether it's right or not. Perfect. So now here we changed. Okay, so earlier we don't have a name for our JSON array, so now we have an object because I have wrapped all the things. Let me format it. Yeah, they wrapped up all the things into the curly brackets. So now we have a single object. Inside that object we have a 2 key value pairs, so that will be look like this: department name finance, department ID 1, and then I have given a name to my array, that is info. Okay, or we can show more clearly, let's say employee, right? So now we have an array called employee which has 2 objects, okay, and in which we have a name, company, and birth date. Okay, let's see what happened if we doing like this. So let's see, employee, then 0, then we have this, and 1 we have this. But okay, and technically this is wrong. Why? Let's assume that I'm going to iterate on this employee array. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll find the name, find the key. Well, I wanted the name of employees. Okay, so employee dot of 0 dot name, then it will return me the Abhishek. Okay, let me write it over here so you'll get idea, right? So what I'll do to read the data, so let's see employee of 0 object dot name. Okay, and then I'll write a for loop over here, so it will give me all the details of all the employee name. Okay, second thing, let's say I wanted a birth date, so it will return only one birth date, that is 25/08/92, because there is the name of key is different. So make sure whenever you generate or receive the key value pair, so name will be similar to the objects. Okay, so I think we have talked enough about the JSON which can help you to understand this article. Well, this is article from infologs.in which tells you how we can pass dynamic JSON object in ASP.NET Core API. Well, it's not a core related things. You can also implement this in any project. Okay, so here we are going to use the C# and ASP.NET Core where we can test all this stuff. Okay, so now where we like what are the situations, okay, what are the scenarios where we need to pass dynamic JSON object, or we want to read it from the whole bunch or whole big bunch of JSON, and then just you want to read the 2 or 3 values. Okay, so how we do that, right? So number 1, okay, so I'll directly jump to here because I like this stuff. Okay, so let's say if I wanted to read some Google APIs, well, there is a specifically map related things. We can also talk about the YouTube APIs. Okay, let's say I wanted to list off YouTube video list, okay, based on my input, let's say search criteria, right? So it will return a whole bunch of JSON, but from that I just want 2 or 3 key value pairs. Okay, so how do we map whole JSON data which is coming from the server to my local business entity. Okay, that is the number one thing. And number two thing, let's say I want to pass something pass some data to the server. Okay, but that data is dynamically generated, so I don't know what is the key value pair. Okay, so I have a fixed structure. Let's say this array, I want to pass this array to server. Okay, so I can, if I have a fixed structure, then I can say, hey, you have to pass like this: name, company, birth date, name, company, birth date, like this. Okay, but what if I don't know the key name of key for this object? Okay, so how do we do that? Every time I have my key value pair is going to change. So how do we manage all that stuff? Okay, so let's say first time I'm sending like this. Let's say key name is A, and then value is something like this. Then key value is B, then value will be like this. Okay, on the second call, let's say on the same API. Okay, same API. So again, key is going to be changed, like let's say my data, then this, and then test data, and this. Okay, so in this situation, how do we create your model, right? So how do we do that? So in that case, there will be the dynamic JSON parsing helps you to resolve this problem, right? So that, first of all, we need obviously Newton's of .json, or especially if we talk about the ASP.NET Core, we have a new JSON formatter called which is resided, I think, into the system.text.json. Okay, but for this article we are going to use specifically Newton's of JSON. Okay, so let's flip to Visual Studio and create a simple web API project. So here I'm using a Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition. So let's create it and API, search for the API. So it will give me the ASP.NET Core web application, then select JSON parsing, and the solution will be the demo, and just create. It will ask you what kind of application you wanted to create. Let's say I'm going to create API related things. I don't need HTTPS configuration, and then hit enter. So it will create a new project. So just wait for a few seconds and it will be ready. Okay, till it gets create, let's flip to back this article. So number one, what we are going to do is, okay, so already I have given the example of JSON object and J array. Okay, so J means just stand it like JSON object, and JSON array. Okay, so here what we are going to do is creating JSON on the fly with JSON object and JSON array. So in C# we'll write the specific JSON object. Okay, we use the JSON object as a class and add all the key value pairs in this JSON object, and the whole JSON object will go into the JSON array. Okay, and then we'll try to generate the JSON string and we'll test it on online JSON viewer. We'll see whether it's perfect or not, right? Okay, so here what's the example is, so I think this is example of album, right? So let's do the same thing. So we'll get an idea, clear-cut idea, right? So before that, our project is ready. Let's see what we got the out of the box. So we have a weather forecast controller. So we have a weather forecast model. Okay, if we have a model, it's very much easier to parse the data. Okay, so I'm running this application and try to access the get request for the weather forecast. Let's see what happens, what it gives us. Okay, we have sent the get request to the weather forecast controller, and it should return the array of weather forecast depending on the city, whatever the code is written over here, right? Okay, yeah, so we got the array. How do we know that? Because this is angle bracket, and in that we have a curly braces, right? So we have a collection of objects. So again, I'll go here, I'll paste it and format it, and then we'll see. Okay, so we have a JSON array, and that we have an object with the date, temperature, temperature in Fahrenheit, and then summary. Okay, let's say freezing. All this information is available over here, right? So now what we are going to do is we'll change the name of this controller. So I wanted to get weather report. Okay, so then let's run it again. So it should not be any problem. So we don't have any get request. Okay, so it automatically goes to this get weather report. Wait, let me check one more thing. Under the startups. Okay, so let me change the route for this. So route will be report, and I'll run it again. Okay, so now we got a 404, and then I'll type a report, and now it's perfect. Okay, so now we can create a multiple get request within the same controller. Okay, let's say again this is the get request. Route will be what we are going to do. Okay, so we have an album with multiple. Let's say I'll create an album. Okay, and then we have in public enumerable. So currently I'll just return a string. I don't want it to. Okay, get album. Okay, so before going ahead, I wanted to include that NuGet package. So let's manage NuGet package library. So go to browse and soft JSON. Okay, so before adding, make sure you are adding for the core related things. Okay, so this is not a core related, so soft core. soft JSON core. Okay, so let's talk about ASP core MVC feature that uses the Microsoft, sorry, Noodles of JSON. includes input and output formatters for JSON and JSON batch, right? So this is the core related things. So let's add this. Okay, I accept it. Okay, now I add it successfully. So before going ahead, let me check JObject. So this is the class using nearestop.json of link you. Perfect. Now it's working fine, right? Now let's go back to this. So first of all, how do we wanted to create all this stuff? Okay, so first of all, you have to keep in mind what kind of JSON data you wanted to create. Let's say I wanted to create this kind of stuff. So here clearly we are saying that we have a root object, that is JSON object. So directly without wasting time, I'll use the var root JSON object equals new J object, right? So we have now root created. Under that root we have a key value pair of 4 properties. Okay, number 1 2 3 4, right? So now there is a different way to add that property to your object. Okay, this is the number 1. Let's say I'm adding a root. Okay, so I'll put a comment, created root JSON object. Okay, now first way of adding property to JSON object. So number 1 is root JSON object dot add. It will ask for property name, that is, what is the property name? So that is entered. Okay, and the value, what will be the value? Return dot now, whatever you wanted to store, return dot now. This is the first one. And the second way is root object dot number 2 is album name, album name equals, let's say album name is my first album. Okay, got it. So for that you have to make sure it should be like this, dynamic, right? So it will automatically create this album name as in property. Then second is root JSON dot artist. Artist is Abhishek, and then released root JSON object dot released on 2020. So now we have a full object ready. Okay, and last what we are going to do is return root JSON object dot to. Okay. Now let's see what it returns. Because we are not made it any default something like that, like I haven't practiced all this stuff. Okay, so whenever it comes on the pictures, I'll just write the code. So we are doing it all live. Album, what happened? Cannot implicitly convert system.json.object to string. Okay, so here what we wanted to do, JSON JSON convert dot serialize object, and I'll just put the object over here. Again, run it. Oops. Perfect, Abhishek. Now let's go back to our standard website, that is JSON viewer. I'll paste it over here and view. So now what we have done, we have completed this much part, right? We have a root element, this is JSON, and then we have a 4 properties, right? So now we have an array, right? So again, what we are going to do is, here we have to root JSON object dot songs equals new JSON array as dynamic. Okay, so now we have an JSON array, right? So now what we have to do is, again inside that JSON array we have an object. So again, do it the same thing. So just create this dynamic array, right? Song name, and then album. Instead of album, I'll use the root JSON, and the number 2 is so we have root. Okay, now let's run this and let's see what happened. Slash album. Perfect. It's working like a smooth, what we say. We have an songs array, we have number 011 object which has song name and song length, and the second one, right? So everything is working fine till now. So number 2, okay, we have generated this much structures. First part is complete. So next is, yeah, we have also seen this. If you want to go ahead with this explicit add value, so you can go ahead and just put the data type as var and use the as add method to add the property to the existing JSON object. Or if you want to expand a style instance, you can just use this. Okay, but I'll prefer to go for this. Why? Because what happened, this is the, what do we say, actually both are similar. Because let's say I'm typing with album name and I'll misspell or anything in this, so the compiler will not give you an error. Okay, but same thing will be over here, but this is the add, you have to pass the exact name in both the cases. Okay, otherwise it will generate the same property name to the JSON value, and JSON is not going to show you an error because the property is different. It will keep it as a key value pair. So key can be anything, right? Yeah, you cannot enter the space in between the, oh, this is not a standard to put a space in JSON key, so beware of it, right? Okay, the number 2 is, how do we iterate the JSON value? Not iteration, it is, this is the just item.key. Okay, let's do that. How do we do that? So for that, what I have to do is need to create so actually this is the JSON generated values. So let me add one console project so we can do a small stuff there as well. So add new project, we'll go for the console app, taste JSON data. Okay, so now we have controller. So let me give you just this example and I'll copy here. So again I need that okay, this is the 2019 IntelliSense. It just picked up that we need to install this JSON package. So let's just go ahead and click find and install the latest JSON, Soft JSON. Okay, so everything is clear. Dynamic song dot, and we don't need this much stuff. So now we have two properties. So what I'll do, just write for integer equals to 0, and then that is the song is object. Okay, not for, we'll use the for each where item in songs. Okay, and then here console dot write line, the key name will be item dot key value item dot value. Okay, value we should be a capital, and then okay, let's run this. Control F5. Okay, so we need to make sure that this project should run. So right click on it and go to the debug and start instance. So now it should give you the key name as well as the value, but we got the exception. Soft JSON link tree property does not contain definition for key. Okay, so we got an error. So what does this article say about? Let's go back to the article. So collections to go blah 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 blah, whatever this is. Okay, but so we don't have a, oh sorry, my mistake. So we have to pass it like, okay, number two thing. So how do we know that? Okay, because of this article I got to know that hey, you know that item.key and item.value is available. So how do you know that? Okay, which property to use? So it's very simple, just iterate it, and then I'll go here and select the test.json and run it. Okay, so now we are here. So just on item, select shift F9, so it will open up the quick watch. So we have in value, and you can expand this object. So here you'll see the value is love at first feel, and the key will be, there is a key property, man. Dot key. Still it gives me the error of key dot, I think it's going for path. Okay, we have to use path. There's something different, or we also go for the name of the key, right? Well, this is the different based on what kind of packages you are using. Okay, maybe when this article was published, the article like the Newtonsoft package gives this kind of information, but now it gives the information in name. So this is the way you can explore all the stuff. So now we have to use the name of, right? So now run it, and again continue it. Oops. Console dot read key, and just stop this. Control F5. So now you'll see the key name is song name and the value is love at first feel, right? That's nice. Okay, now the important thing, importing JSON with JSON object.parse and JSON array.parse. Okay, this is the very important stuff, because from now here you can see all the important things. So here we have a JSON string, built-in JSON string, and now we wanted to convert it into the object. So again, it's very simple. So we are using the same project, console project. So here I'll make sure that we have a different section. So I'll just go here like this. So now we have this much data. So we have name, then company name, then entered. Okay, now we want to convert this into the, so as usual we have a dynamic object, that is dynamic object equals JSON. Okay, for that what we have to use, so we have a JSON parse or JSON array. Okay, so currently we know that we have an object. Okay, so what we have to use is, so I'll just go ahead and use JSON value dot parse and JSON parse the JSON string. So let's put a breakpoint over here and let's see what kind of object I'm getting it. So just run this and then just hit the F10. I think I have to press the function F10 because okay, so now we have a JSON. Perfect. And now I'll go ahead and click step over. So now we got the JSON object. Okay, and here I can see we have three counts, three properties. First will be the name and Abhishek. Okay, so now we wanted to print all the stuff in console.writeLine. So console.writeLine. So under the dynamic object dot name plus @ plus dynamic object dot company plus dynamic object dot entered. So just remove this breakpoint and hit the control F5. See, Abhishek, name and all. Okay, so what is the disadvantages according to you guys? I'm giving you the 10 seconds. I think you got my point. Okay, because we are using the dynamic data type. Okay, so let's say I am here I am not getting any runtime, okay, IntelliSense for getting that property over here, just like the normal Visual Studio we got, like let's say I'm writing console.writeLine, so I'm getting the IntelliSense, and what if I'm mistakenly typing the wrong thing, so it will give me the error at the compile time. But while if you're using the dynamic object, you will not get any kind of compile time error, okay, or even you don't get any runtime error as well. See, the object is null, right? So that's why it's very difficult. You have to keep in mind every time you have to make check for that object whenever you wanted to use that, right? Okay, so now you got the clear idea about it. So let's one thing. Okay, so next point is the whole JSON array parsing test. Okay, so we have a very big object and we have to iterate on each albums. Okay, so here for testing purpose I'm not going to take this much big object, so we'll use a very small object which has a property and a single array, right? So let's take the same example. So I'll copy whole stuff and then we'll delete whichever I don't want it to use. So again here I'll write console.writeLine for the separation of things so everybody can get a clear idea about it. So just copy it, and here I don't want JSON string album, so here I'll just remove all the other stuff. I don't wanted it. For this I have just 2 is enough. I also remove the third object. So now we have 2 properties in single object and 1 array. Okay, and same thing also in the second number of row, or again the second number of object. So we have just 1. Okay, now I wanted to print all this data after conversion in the dynamic object. So let's get started, buddies. So this is going to be very interesting. So here what I'll do is, again we'll go ahead and convert this into the JSON string as in JArray. Okay, so how do we got to know that we need to use a JSON array, not J value? So if you notice, so go back to value. Okay, so here we have an array object, right? For this purpose we got, if you are going to cross this, like we have an JSON array and we are going to pass in the JSON value, then it will not gonna work. So whenever you try to pass the value, so you have to make sure about these things, right? Dynamic array equals JArray dot parse, and the bracket I'll go and use JSON string album as dynamic. Okay, so now it's parsed completely. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is just put a breakpoint here and we'll try to see the whole array. So didn't get the breakpoint over here. What happened? Oh, sorry, I hit the Control F5, that's why we have to run it in debug mode. Okay, just click and dynamic array is generated. See the whole dynamic array. Okay, yeah, don't take the tension about this starting curly braces. Okay, it is generated by the system. So oh god, I'm really very sorry guys. Okay, so the array is generated. So now I'm going to use the shift F9, and from that I'm going to use the 0 number. So we have an object of 0 number, that is this, and from that we are going to use the ID. Perfect, everything is working fine. So number 2 is, so what is the second thing? So we are going to iterate on each object and then we'll try to print all the stuff, right? Okay, so how do we write the what we can say, how do we write the loops? So here you can see that we have an array, that means we have to iterate till we got the JSON object, right? So we have this first object, we have this second object. So here what I'll do, I'll iterate till I'll got the items in dynamic array. Okay, so dynamic array will iterate on 2 times, and again if you go ahead and see that inside this object we have one more array called songs. So again what we have to do is we have to parse. Sorry, parse is already done. So again here what we'll do, we'll iterate one more time, var item song under the dynamic array dot songs. Okay, so you have to keep this name identical. So here that represents the element in a collection of our songs cannot be declared in the scope. Okay, so what I'll do is here I'll create a dynamic song array equals so wait, one second, what I did wrong here. So songs, a local parameter name song cannot be declared in this scope because that name is used in, okay, so I'll go ahead and use capital song. Okay, yeah, now it's working fine. So here I'll create, let's say what we are going to do here, I'm going to use a string full data equals blank. Okay, I'll just a second. Okay, so now we are going to append all the stuff from the item and will wrap up into the full data string. So we have full data plus, sorry, equals item dot. So here you have to be careful that what you are going to access, that is ID and album name. So I'll write like this, ID plus item dot album name. So I'll again copy this stuff, it will be more easier. So now we have this, and under this we have a full data. We'll append all this stuff to, so here I'm going to say that this is the child item, and then we have to add song dot album ID double quote plus song dot song name, and then song dot song length. So first iteration and the song iteration is completed, and then we'll try to print console.writeLine full data, and on the next iteration it will get back to the null. Okay, so let's control F5, so it will run without the debugging mode. So we got an error, that's very good thing. So we have does not contain a definition for songs. Okay, so we have something messed. Cancel this, we don't want to debug anymore. So what's the problem? We have songs, dynamic, and then dynamic array dot songs, and we have song and song. Perfect. So let's debug it. The code is looking clear. So now we have to go inside dynamic array. We got an item. Sorry. What was the wrong thing in this? Very simple. We have to go item dot song, not the dynamic array dot song, right? So let's go ahead and run this again, and this time I'll go ahead and just the ID, the name, we have child item, we have mentioned this. It's not a clear console.write line, full data, Control F5 again, length is, so ID, okay, my mistake. So we have only one item for one song, for the second album, and the first album we have two songs, that's why it's looking like this. Okay, so we have done the stuff as well. So next is JObject and JArray in ASP.NET Web API. Again, we have already seen this in our first project, that is we have created in the album object. So we have an array, we have an object, and we are going to return that object. Okay, yeah, one thing that I have to tell you, what is that? Okay, this is for the post data on the server. Okay, so for that, what we are going to do is, let's copy this stuff, and because there is not any big technical things, right? So what I'll do here, so I'll create an HTTP post method. Oops, HTTP post, HTTP post, and then route, I'll say add. Oops, this is the perfect HTTP get. Yeah, so what's the problem? I think I'm writing on the wrong side, so I have to write it here, HTTP post, and then public, what will be the return? Return will be the JObject, because we are writing the, it will return the same object, public JOBJECT, or we can say the dynamic. Okay, add data, we'll take it as dynamic JSON object. So we have so why this is asking me to install it again? Okay, so let me make it capital. So JObject add data, so here is, we have a post album. Okay, let's put this name because it looks good, and we'll take as an argument of JAlbum. Here you can use the dynamic or JSON object, whatever you wanted to use. If you go for the dynamic, that is also fine. Okay, and here we'll create an JSON object and we'll return it to the, okay, so we have a dynamic object JAlbum, we have again converted here. So if you don't want to write this statement, just go ahead and use the dynamic here. So better we do the same, because the serialization comes in the picture. So we have everything, new property we are adding, and then returning the new object. Okay, so how do we test it? Namespace cannot be directly contain members such as fields or methods. Invalid. Okay, we can say, let's say I don't. Build this project, failed, we got an error, namespace cannot contain. So what namespace? Okay. Well, it's my mistake. We have written the method out of this whole namespace. That's why it's showing an error. So I'll just again, oops. What? Yeah, Visual Studio. Let's need to restart it again. So we need just add a curly bracket over here. So now everything is perfect. Post album object. We have an, now just click on JSON parsing, run it on IS Express. So here we have to use the what we can say, go ahead and open up the Postman. So our application is running on this port, so just take straight me to the app, close. We have a post method, this slash, what was the URL, that is album object, sorry, postman slash album object, will to a header that is sorry, content type will be application slash JSON, and under the body select raw, it should be JSON. Now we are passing the JSON object, so I'm clicking the same object over here and just pass it to this. Again, here is an error because we have to formalize the thing. So we have an array song name. Okay, so if you notice, we have just single property within the song, right? So this is the array. So here I have to make it in double quote. So now JSON is clear. So when we pass this JSON object to the server will read all this stuff and add one more property, that is new property on the root level, not in the array side. And then in second call we'll try to add one more property under this song array. Okay, so let's test it first. Okay, so I'll make sure to hit here. Then we have done, we have content type dot application JSON, and then we have an accept of application JSON. So whatever is coming from the server, it should be in JSON. So let's send. We got the 404. Okay, so we don't need to, because we have a single post method, so it will go directly to the, okay. The JSON value could not be converted to the system.collection enumerable JToken. So JSON value cannot be converted. So let's test it again, and I'll click OK. We have a body, we have JSON application, perfect. And on this controller we are posting the data. So again we got a 400 bad request. So bad request, the JSON value could not be converted to system.collection.generic enumerable Newton JSON link J token line number 1 byte position 27. Okay, so something is problem while converting it in the J object. So what I'll do, I'll receive all the information as an dynamic J album. Now let's try to run it again. Perfect, we got the whole JSON data value kind of object, and then right. So now what I'll do, I'll run it again. So now the J album is in dynamic. So again there was in dynamic, new album is created. Okay, album dot album name system.text.json element. Okay, now this is referencing to the system.text.json. okay, so here album, so album is created. Now from this album, okay, so because error is there, let me try one more thing, that is okay. Because album name, okay. So here what we are going to do is we'll remove all this stuff, we don't need this. Here as I know that in our previous in previous examples, here we have seen that if we have something like this, so we have to use the jvalue.parse, and then it will gives us the whole dynamic object. So same thing I'll use here. Okay, so you have to keep in mind everything when you write the code, right? So here I'll use the J album, and then J album dot. Okay, so let's try this. So dynamic data, so here data dot album data dot songs, we'll add all the stuff into the new album, and then we'll return this. So let's see what happened. So again I have to use a breakpoint because I want to test it whether the parsing is done perfectly or not. So now go to the F10 again. The best overload method matches the instance of JSON parse string. Okay, so what it takes, JSON.parse, it takes the JSON string. Okay, so we have to pass the JSON string only. So J album, so what do we have to do is, it's a dynamic object, and from okay, so we have to find the root cause of this error. As we are running the application in ASP.NET Core, it is working fine in ASP.NET. So what's the problem in here? So again I'll run this application and let's find out the root cause of this. So number one, just run it again. So if you see, the dynamic object is a little bit different value kind of object, and then we are seeing all this stuff. Okay, and generally it should work like this. but in ASP.NET Core it's not working as expected. So we have to make solution. You can see here the 400 bad request. Okay, so here what is trying to do is, so system.collection enumerable. So by default I think ASP.NET Core is using something different, right? So let me, okay, did we add that package, Newtonsoft package? Dependencies, packages, ASP.NET Core, Newtonsoft JSON. That's MVC related things, because everything is in built. So what I'll do, try to, let's see, so default, let's try to one more thing. Here services dot add under the controllers, add, yes, we got it, man. So MVC Newtonsoft JSON. Okay, so let's try now. So now we are forcing ASP.NET Core not to use system.text, use Newtonsoft JSON, and as expected, here we are using the J object, which is from Newtonsoft.json.link. Now it should not give us an error about that casting related things. So let's test it. Perfect. So now we have a JSON object, everything is working fine. Let's go ahead and data type, JSON object, album created, new property assigned, JArrays is also created, and now we are running into the data.songs. We got the songs, and the same value is added to the songs, second number song, and the whole object is returned, who is calling the API. So where is the output, man? So yeah, we got the new property, something new. So next thing what we are going to do is length. We are going to add the length, same length to the both of these properties. So here what I'll do, song, it's very simple, man, dot song length is equals to 2.3060, and just run this again, make a request from postman, and now I don't need this. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go back to this article. Okay, we are getting this dynamic to strong type mapping, right? So now if you notice, we have sent the whole data as in as a dynamic. Okay, so what if if we say this much part is, I know this is going to fixed, this is not a dynamic thing. So we know that in the songs array there will be two properties, song name and song length. Okay, but for the main object I can't consider there can be a fourth property. Number one, that is album name, number two is new property, number third is song array, and number fourth can be anything, or number of properties can be added from the client side, right, who is sending the request. So in that case we can say that we can also merge, like this is the strongly typed data and this is the dynamic. So how do we do that? So it's very simple. So here you can see the whole album is parsed, and then from the album 0 we are saying that this is the album, and album we have to create a dynamic class over there, and then we can just make that into the J object, so it will automatically convert it to that strongly typed object. Okay, so for that what we are going to do is, here I'll create a class of songs, public class of song, which has a property called it's a string property song name, property number 2, it's also string, it's a song length. Okay, now we have that strongly typed data. So what we are going to do is, so we have then JSON object, right, and here we are saying that song. So here I'm not receiving that song in the dynamic object. I'll use a song class. Okay, song of song. Okay, dynamic, and then we'll say the song, my song equals song dot, or we can say the, oops, our song dot to, oops, we are not getting any intelligence. So what's the problem? So here what we can do is, what we are going to, let's make something different. So I'll create a main class album. Under that, so wait, the songs is fine, because the person who is sending the data is sending the songs data, right, sending the songs data. So we need a songs, and then class will be album. This is also public. So here property of songs, it can be a songs, so I'll change the songs model, songs model. Then we have, so we don't need this, so we have album property of string album name, then property of string, okay, we have just only album name. Perfect. Now we have a strongly typed class called album. So what we'll do, so we got this J object, and we'll adding it to direct to our album equals J album dot to object. Okay, this way we can directly cast of type object alb album, type of album, type of album, cannot implicitly convert to type JSON parsing dot controller dot albums, and explicitly conversion exists. Are you missing a cast? Okay, one other thing that we can do is of T, so type is alb album. Okay, so now here we can say that, hey, this is the album name, and here we can say that album dot songs, album dot songs. Sorry, it's not songs, it will be list of songs. Can multiple songs will be there. So now this we have created a very strongly typed, so whatever the data we are sending from the client will exactly wrapped up into this model. Okay, this is called very specific programming, so you'll not see any kind of most of the things can be handled on the compilation time. Okay, could not determine the JSON object type or JSON parsing songs model. New album, add song is of song model, song length. Oops, we are merging two things. So here now we have a song, let me make it as a test. So we are reading from the test and assigning into the, so here we can say the song model and we'll say song, because there will be no any kind of, so here we got the full mapped, we have mapped the whole data to our album. Now we are saying we want to return the data, so we have created a new object. Under that we are reading the data from album, which is passed from the client, and appending the new things in that object, so in that property, and again assigning that to the new album. So again here are the new songs, and again that songs will be add the song. Okay, and let's try to this, run this. So I think we can take the error, because when we try to add the whole song, okay, so we are doing a bad thing over here. So we are saying, hey, we are reading it from the album and we are again storing the in same object, so we can't do that. So here, because we are loading all the things in dynamic objects, so what we have to do is, so new album dot songs dot add songs. So here we have to create a dynamic my song object, and all the things go into this my song, and the whole song will go into our use of unassigned variable. Okay, for this we have to put it like this, because it's dynamic you have to initialize, like if you follow the Infologs website, we have published a new C# related things, and you can see that there is dynamic, and the cannot perform the runtime binding on the null reference. Well, then we have to make like this, new J object. Now run this. See, whenever you try to code something new, so you have to make show clear. So what we are going to do is, so see, so this is how we can parse our whole data to a strongly typed object. Okay, so now let's assume that user is sending extra data to the model. So here let's say added new property information. Okay, so again this should work, right? And it will work. Why? Because on the controller level we are accepting the whole JSON object. That means whatever the user is creating the key value pairs, all the data will be accepted in this object. So let's see. Put a breakpoint over here first. So send it. So here you'll see that add new property is there. Okay, so let me, oops, it's not gonna work. Okay, so here you can see that property is there, right? So now while parsing the data, it will automatically parse the data which is available in this class. So you'll not see that new property in this section, right? So for that, what you have to do is just go ahead and add that property into your model. So add new property string and new model, and just run it again, and now we will able to get that data into the same object. So now just run it again, data casted, and now we are getting that new property as well. Okay, this is the way you can parse or you can take the specific data to your strongly type model. Okay, and I'll also recommend this kind of stuff, so don't go for whole dynamic things, because there you have to keep a check on each and every property. Like you have to check if the dynamic data dot album1 is there or is not null, then you can do your stuff. Okay, that kind of coding is we should avoid it. Okay, so whenever you want to read it from the let's say YouTube data or Google Map data, there are whole bunch of data they are sending to the requesting application. So from that data, just rectify what kind of data you wanted to need, or you wanted to read just 2 or 3 fields or one array, then just create that kind of model to your application and then directly cast it to the your object. So later you can just type album name. So if you do something wrong, in that case you'll get that error at a compile time. Okay, now let's jump back to the our article. So what we discussed startingly that we said I wanted to just cast a whole object to my, sorry, not whole object, just songs object to my my strongly typed model. Okay, so in that case, how do we do that? Very simple, just read the whole object, and on the from the object you have to take like this, what say, so here, so we have read the data in JSON object, and then from JSON object we have to take it as number 0. Actually we have did here. Okay, so let's see, we have this, and then we are parsing the data to JSON or dynamic array. Then from the dynamic array dot whatever the array is yours, like dot songs. Okay, so that means, so here what is our dynamic, so after parsing, so here I have commented that parsing code, so we don't need to parse because we have a JSON object. Okay, so here I'll do that songs model songs model equals jalbum dot songs. Okay, j object dot wait So we have dynamic array, or we can say the JSON object, and from that okay, wait, we have message to something. We don't have an array, we have a single object. Okay, so because here is a single object, so single object is coming to your J object. Let's run this so you'll get a clear idea. Okay, as express, we got here, press shift F9, we got an album, then under this album we have songs dot. Okay, so again we have to make it dynamic. So here dynamic new dynamic data equals new album. Okay, so go to the command line window, immediate window, so view other window, command window, question mark, dynamic data equals expected data. A lot of things that I have to make sure. Dynamic data equals J album. Okay, and then here dynamic model from dynamic data dot songs songs dot this item dot name and item dot value, all the elements. Sorry, start up there, close it, and so now new object. So now just go ahead and run this application. Okay, go ahead and cast the whole object. Dynamic data, shift F9, sorry, we got an JSON array. Okay, or we can cast it to the J array, and then the whole J array can be go to the songs model of list. So, okay, so we have to cast it that way because we are getting the array, right? So here then we'll go ahead and let's say J array equals dynamic data dot songs. So now we have an J array. So now here list of songs model equals J array dot J array. So then okay, so I think we can't cast directly, so we have to check it. Convert JArray cannot be cast to direct list of models. Okay, I think that's not possible. So the whole songs can be casted to JArray, and then we can just iterate on JArray. Okay, the whole object cannot be cast to the strongly typed object, right? Okay, the next point is strongly typed JSON parsing. Okay, so here we have a very simple that we have did it earlier. So we have an album object, and then we can just create a new song of list, and then just post it to the object, right? So you just need to serialize it and deserialize it. It's as simple as that. So what will I do? So we have already created the model. So here I'll create one more HTTP GET request. HTTP GET public strongly typed test, and it will return string get strongly strongly type return data. Okay, and then here, as simple, just create an instance of your class, that is album, where album equals to new album. So you'll get a hardcore properties, just assign them property, and song album name is Abhishek, and song is equals to new list of model, then new song model, song length is equal to 5, song name is equal to first, and then second songs model, songs length is equal to 7, and songs name is equal to second. Okay, the whole object is created. Now just serialize it, because we have to send it as an don't know this. Okay, so serialization code is very simple. JSON convert, that is also we have did where data equals JSON convert dot serialize object, and what is the serialization object? That is album. Okay, serialization done, return data, and then we have to make sure that everything is coming perfectly what as per expected. So we'll make a GET request over here. Perfect. This is our perfect album, and generated the string because it took by default this one. Okay, and now again what we did, so let's say serialized object, and now we'll, for the confirmation, we'll again make it album, sorry, class album, my album equals JSON convert dot deserialize object, which takes as data, and we'll check that everything is working as expected. Okay, or for more specific, we'll take as data type OR. So if the serialization and deserialization work perfectly, so that means you have everything. You have a full control over the data. Yeah. So now just cast this object to the as expected, as we did over here. Okay, we are seeing the J object and then casting all these things. This is how the whole JSON things work. Okay, this is going a big video and I'm really very sorry for that, but I have to make sure that everything should be in single video. Okay, so if you have any questions or any doubt regarding JSON, so just send your query to us on the facebook.com, or you can go ahead and tweet us at twitter.com. okay, so we have accounts everywhere, so just see the description, so you will see the whole other video links you can follow. And if you like this video, just subscribe our channel, so you'll and also hit that bell icon, so you'll get a notification whenever we publish a new video. Okay, and one more thing that I would like to announce today, we are going to launch a new video series on technology framework called Blazor. Okay, if you have got our newsletter, okay, that is already published, if you have subscribed our email notification, so you already got that we have a new course or new article, that is Blazor. Okay, Blazor web framework. Nowadays it is a very much popular, gaining a lot of popularity. So we have published a few articles related to the Blazors, and soon we start the course for this newly launched framework. Okay, we have also launched the C# for the beginners who wanted to learn the C# for fresh. So here you'll see some of the basic articles from the get started for the C#. So we'll also going to create a videos on C# from next month, maybe from the next month you'll see 3 videos in a week. Okay, currently it's 2 videos. One is from Monday and the second one is launched on Wednesday 8 a.m. in the morning of India time. Right, so from next month you'll see the 3 videos. One for first Monday for ASP.NET Core, as this is the last video of ASP.NET Core. So in the next we are going for the Razor components, Razor tutorials, right? And on the Wednesday you'll see the Blazor, and at the Friday you'll see the C#. Okay, so C# is our low priority because you'll see the lots of tutorials is already available over there, but in this in our video tutorial we are going to describe all the stuffs as well as the live scenarios which can be used in the live project, or that kind of scenario is coming to the live project. Okay, so that will be very good experience for you guys. And yeah, these 3 courses we are going to run smoothly. So if you have any other queries, or you wanted to start a new course, wanted us to start on new course, so just put your comments, send your suggestions on support@infologs.in or info@infologs.in or webboostings@gmail.com. okay, whatever you wanted, or you can just tweet us at @infologs.in, or you can also go ahead and connect with us on Facebook via Facebook.in. okay, so we are everywhere. You just need to pinpoint us, will be there for your solutions. So here on the screen now you can see the next and previous video tutorial with the playlist, and one for the subscriber channel. So if you are a new user to our channel, so I wanted to just click on the subscribe button, so it will be we will send you so it will get automatic notification when we publish a new video. I hope you have enjoyed this video tutorial. Thank you for watching, and see you soon. Bye.